So first of all, welcome to the new Stars of Data Fuse edition. And this session, I will explore the pros and cons of those two popular business tools, Power BI and Tableau. And I think those two tools are quite popular nowadays. Everyone heard about them. And let's see if we can get any new insights altogether.
Oh, Roman, you've got on mute.
Sorry. I will repeat. I'll repeat again. So as a small disclaimer, I would like to inform you that I'm mostly working in Power BI, and that's why my judgments about Tableau could be a bit subjective. I was doing a few projects around Tableau, was helping a bit, but mostly I'm working in Power BI. That's why could be some personal judgment, something I prefer or find a bit easier or more user-friendly Power BI side. But if you have different opinion or like any comments, feel free to share that. I will be here happy to learn something about Tableau and Power BI as well. Yes, as an introduction, I would like to introduce myself. I'm a senior data analyst at Avanet, based in Frankfurt am Main, Germany. I'm originally coming from Ukraine. And yes, I love to create insights about the data, visualize the results, share my knowledge with others. I'm mostly working with Power BI, Alteryx, and have a bit of experience in Tableau. And I'm mostly focused on self-service, data modeling, data visualization, real-time analytics, and training design concepts. I also have done a couple of certifications, such as DP 500, DP 900, DA 100, and I'm Alteryx Advanced Designer certified. And also I like RPA as well, and I also did kind of UiPath certification and was doing a few projects related to that. Okay, let's move forward. Why basically I decided to choose this topic? Because quite often during the projects, clients are asking sometimes, or they want to switch. They already have Tableau and they want to switch to Power BI, or they have Power BI and they're always curious what is in Tableau, because somehow those two tools are the most common, as we can see on this slide, as of January 2023. Gartner's data revealed that Power BI and Tableau are the two most popular business intelligence tools. Power BI is a bit slightly on the top, but Tableau is the second place. And I wanted to prepare this comparison, as basically on most of basically every project, somehow we come to this comparison, and clients trying to challenge me that, hey, can we do this? If we can do it in Tableau, can we do the same in Power BI, but faster, cheaper, or somehow more user-friendly? Yes, and my comparison based on those following categories. First, the category is history, then cost of those two tools, performance, which is very important, data sources, easy of using, machine learning possibilities, and there is a Google Trends use case. Let's start with the history. History of Power BI started in 2010. Microsoft began the development of what will later become Power BI, and it was designed by Ron George. In 2011, this project progressed and was given the code name Denali, so it has the possibility. And in 2013, this project was renamed as a Power BI for Office. You could see it's already started moving in the direction how it is now, but it was still released as an Excel plugin. It was not like independent product. It was a plugin for Excel. And in 2015, Power BI was released, as we know today, for the general public. We could see it was like around 5 years of journey. And of course, there is a constant improvement, and it's changing every month, basically. There are some updates. And if we look at the Tableau, we can see it's a bit older. It's actually, we can say it's 2 times older than Power BI. And it was founded by Christian Chabot, Chris Stoltz, and Pat Hanrahan in California. It was mostly, like you could see, it's like was a startup back that times. All this business intelligence and like data, it was not that advanced like it is today. So we could see that, we could imagine which kind of challenges those guys met when they tried to prepare this kind of a business analytics tool. In 2004, Tableau 1.0 was released, and was quite interesting that initially it was rejected by IT professionals because people could not believe that this could be that automated and so on. So there is less coding, and to process all this amount of data, you need something stronger, like quite strong tool. And we can imagine, of course, probably this tool was quite fresh and needed a lot of improvement. But nevertheless, after such a long journey, we could see, of course, probably in 2010, Microsoft noticed that this tool has some perspective. They're doing quite well, and they start designing Power BI. But in 2019, Tableau was initially acquired by Salesforce for $15.7 billion US. We could say that it was quite a success story. But why is it interesting to see this overview of history? Of course, to compare, right, which journey does both two tools, even they're a bit similar in what they're doing, but the history behind, and we could see the journey was a bit different. Of course, Power BI had a massive massive support from Microsoft in the background, but Tableau, it was more like a startup approach. And of course, it's very interesting also. It has an impact on the community. Even we could see that Tableau is 10 years older than Power BI, but it's the communities, because of Power BI, developed quite strong. I would say that communities are quite strong for both. And if you need any support, if you're looking for some information, you can basically find most of the solutions already resolved. So most probably that someone already found a solution for the issue you might face. So that's why I think it's I'm quite lucky that we are at this time now that both of those tools are already quite developed. And yes, if we move forward, the key components of those two tools, it's also interesting comparison. We could see that they consist of more or less similar, they have similar components. Basically, Power BI is not like a single product. It has Power BI Desktop, Power Query, Power BI Service, mobile apps, gateway, report server, and Tableau has more or less similar. And that's, I think, interesting to see how it was split between the categories, because each category has their own function. And yes, we could see probably a bit more deeper in the details while doing the use case. But in this category, we could see they're quite similar. They have similar components. And very important topic is the cost. As a well-known fact, Power BI is cheaper than Tableau. And Power BI will cost you in general around $10 per month for the Pro version. And if you want to have annual subscriptions, around $100. If you want to have premium license for your dedicated storage, it will be around $4,995 per month. From the other hand, if you want to use a Pro version of Tableau, you need to invest around $35 per month. You can see it's like more than 3 times more expensive. And of course, the annual subscription will be around $1,000. And yeah, basically, I think that explains a lot of Power BI. It's became more popular, and overcame Tableau price could be very, very significant and very having a big impact when you decide which solution prefers or can satisfy your needs. And of course, not forget that, of course, it depends what you're using, and each of these tools, you can have like a special deal. If you have some special agreement with Microsoft, the price could be adjusted. If you have something, you can negotiate with Tableau. But this is like a general overview. And yes, like a well-known fact that Power BI is a bit cheaper. And coming to performance. If we talk about performance, as in my personal observation and the information I could find, that Power BI is faster and performs better when there is a limited volume of data. Power BI works a bit slower if there is a lot of data, and if it's like connected in direct query mode, if you need to load from different data sources. But of course, again, there are quite a few tools which help you to optimize your performance, such as DAX Studio, Performance Analyzer. It's already included in Power BI, in Power BI Desktop, Vertipack Analyzer, and so on. It all depends on your model. You cannot say that this is just slow because it's slow. There is always option to optimize your data model, to optimize your DAX, to like limit the amount of your visualization, and there are tricks to increase your performance. But the general rule, kind of an overview, that Power BI is a bit faster when the data is limited, but if there are a lot of data, it needs some performance optimization. From the other hand, Tableau can handle larger volumes of data a bit quicker. It's faster, provide extensive features for visualizing data, and it works best when there is a lot of data on the cloud. And of course, there is also a tool which helps you to optimize your data. Tableau is a point and run load and performance testing utility designed for Tableau server. And of course, I think it's the same with Tableau. If your data model is optimized, if your calculations also optimized, that can increase the performance. If you just load your bulk data, which is not cleaned, if there are a lot of unnecessary columns, rows, and so on, of course, it can cause the performance issues. So both of those tools are quite strong in performance, but you need to prepare your data first to see where it's coming from and use those performance analyzing tools quite often. The next category, I decided to check the data sources, which kind of data sources you can use in both of those tools. If you look at the Power BI, it supports a lot of data sources. If you just click on Power BI, get data, you get a massive list. And some of the examples here, like standard Excel, CSV, SQL Server, AccessDB, MySQL database, everything what is coming from Azure, Synapse Analytics, and so on. Of course, you can get it in Power BI. On Tableau, from the other hand, if you just open your Tableau desktop and you click Get Data, and then you see the list is actually a bit long. It's like quite longer than the list in Power BI. But most of those data sources, the ones you can see on the left on Power BI, they also included in Tableau. And the extra ones, me personally, I never heard about them. And then that's the question, if you really need them. But like, if you want just to compare the numbers, Tableau has a bit more data sources. Like you can use them as direct data source without installing extra connector or something. Just connect the data and you will have it in your Tableau. And Power BI, you have a bit less, but as my personal also opinion observation, if you have the data source stored somewhere like in Azure and Synapse, if it's something related to Microsoft, I would assume Power BI is the better solution for that, because it's a Microsoft product. And if you want to combine those two tools and then to use this data, it's better to use native Microsoft tool. But Tableau supports those data sources as well. And yes, if we go for the next category, is the ease of using. This is very subjective point for me in topic because, of course, for me it's a bit much easier, user-friendly. I like the interface, how it's done. I find it quite user-friendly, and yeah, what is for the end user? If you're mostly using Microsoft Office 365, it's more or less all similar. And yes, I find it personally much easier to use. But of course, if you are working mostly with Tableau, if you are working that on a daily basis, you would open Power BI and you would be like, okay, what is this? Where I can find all the visualizations, all the tools, calculations where I need. It's a matter of custom. So if you got used to one will be easier. But as a first user, if you have never used one or another, I believe that Power BI would be a bit easier. One thing would cause some issues is the calculations, because Power BI uses DAX and for calculating columns and measures. But so it's a nice calculation language, but it has like a special syntax, and it could cause some issues if it's like you need to know the syntax, how to write it, and then even the basic things could cause some misunderstanding because you need to have a bit of experience how to do it. But there is also a lot of information how to do it. Like, of course, you're gonna learn the DAX, like you need some time for that. And there is a very huge help. There are some already included in Power BI quick measures which help you and write this DAX for you, basically. There is a lot of DAX studios on. You can always see the best practices, and in most of the cases in my daily life, I actually never write it by myself. I use quick measures. If there is something really fast I need to adjust, I just Google how can I calculate this using DAX. Gives the nice results. And like in the last months, I quite often use the ChatGPT. I just ask what I have, and I just prepares the calculation for me. So of course, not always it works perfect, but quite often I get the direction how I need to adjust my calculation. And of course, there are also, you can connect to other programming language, and there is an Python custom visualization available in Power BI. So there is no basically limit what you can do with it. It's like a very strong tool. From Tableau perspective, it has some advantages for exploring visualizing data in detail. And it's what I really like about Tableau, that it's, if you need some calculation, it's a bit more, it's more like a natural language. You type this minus this, and then it gives you some results. So you don't need to like have this kind of reading it from the button. So you need, it's a bit more user-friendly when it comes to calculation. Of course, there are issues you need an experience, but for the basic calculations, I think if you just want to try and like start with it, it's a bit easier to do the calculations in Tableau. And of course, there is like Python, Java, and then C#. You can also connect those programming languages and improve your visualization. As a next category, it's a machine learning. Power BI enjoys the advantages of Microsoft Business Analytics, including Azure Machine Learning, which is very strong, and SQL Server-based analysis services, data stream real-time. And what I personally like, it's already included in Power BI desktop. You can analyze the data with K-influencers, decomposition tree. There is some algorithm provided. There is predictive analytics, which works pretty good. And clients really love it because you show this analytics and they think that it's already like a advanced analysis, but it's basically you get it with a few clicks in Power BI, which is already integrated. In Tableau, there are also options and features of Python machine learning that allows you to perform machine learning operations and doing forecast. And there are also integrated predictive modeling functions and forecasting algorithms. It also in Tableau is included there, but it's somehow not on that how I've seen it on the surface of Power BI. In Power BI, it's directly in the standard visualizations, all these predictive tools. You can drag and drop, and you can get some insights. Of course, you need sometimes select, sometimes it doesn't have much sense, and you need to check what is the results, what is given you. But in Power BI, what I found personally that it's a bit more accessible than it's in Tableau. And of course, we are coming to the use case, and yeah, you could see on the right side, I just typed this image was generated with AI. I just typed, okay, Power BI against Tableau, and that's how AI sees this the competition. And yeah, where I basically got the data from, I can show you where I took it from. If we go to the I think it was, yeah, here, exactly. So I went to Google Trends, and I decided to compare Power BI and Tableau, right? So basically you type Google Trends, google.com, and then you can type here wherever you want. In this case, yeah, I decided to discover Power BI and Tableau. And what I really like about this this feature, that if you don't have any data and you need to show some use case to the client, it's a very nice source for the data itself, because quite often due to the data governance and so on, you cannot use any data you have related to the client. But if you want just to have some real data, it's up to date. As you can see, you can choose here which country, the time dimensions on which period, and basically you could see interest over time, Google, so some subcategories, sub-regions, and what is very cool, you can just download it, this like in the CSV format, and then you can use it. Basically, I was using this data from Germany for Power BI example, and then worldwide data for Tableau. And yes, let's go to Power BI. Basically, I was able to build this analogy what we could see in Google, but we could do it directly. Basically, what you're doing if you just have this data on your computer. First of all, what you start with, you get data. So I already have this data, and then we could see how it looks in Power Query. We could see those tables, right? And I did basic data modification. I changed the data type. I removed top rows and promoted headers, and changed the data type again. So I did a bit of data cleaning, so the data looks nice. And then when it was ready, I click close and apply. And then you have your data already in your Power BI desktop. Also, very nice thing that it's kind of all in one. What I find in Power BI, that it's there is a data model. You can connect your tables, establish the relationship with one-to-one, many-to-many, many-to-one, and so on. And basically, you can see here the data model and all your tables. Of course, this is the very simple example, but if you have a bit more, it's a nice and user-friendly option to deal with your data model. And yeah, here you can deal with your data. You can create some calculations and calculated columns, and then you can see how your data looks like, changing the data format and so on. And basically, yes, how I created those visuals, quite straightforward. Yeah, you just drag and drop the data for Tableau and Power BI. We could change the colors. Basically, this showing this interest for those two. And add here also for those 2 years, for the last 2 years. Then we could see some trends also Power BI and Tableau. Last months, make it more consistent. Can change the. Let's keep Tableau always red. And if we see this original data, it basically let's go to this. Will have been the location, and we add here tooltips for Tableau and Power BI. Of course, it needs like some design alignment that it looks the same, how it looks in Google, but more or less we head in the same similar direction. And the last, not least, we could see what was also comparison per region. And here we could basically see that it's at the constant line as well, right in the middle. This one. Oh, 5. Yes, exactly. So basically what we can see here, it's yeah, like more or less similar how it was in Google, even the coloring and so on. I need to adjust the titles, but yeah, that's like a layout. And we could see here that in Germany, Power BI is the most common trend, Google trend. And we could see that the only region where Tableau is a bit stronger, it's in Berlin. I find that personally quite funny because that's how it is here in Germany. That whatever is in Berlin, it's they always doing it a bit different way, and it's a bit they're a bit more special, trying to be at least. And yeah, like even in this comparison, that's also the out of the range. And we could see that yeah, there is the trend, and yeah, like the most common request for business tool between Power BI and Tableau, it's Power BI is winning here in Germany. We could see that with a few clicks, we could do the same, more or less similar how it was done in how it looks in Google's. And what regarding the calculations, we can also create some simple calculations with quick measures, doing some average of Power BI, like in this on the whole period. And then we create this measure, and then as I can insert it and use it as the cards, for example. And yes, basically we could see some calculations are also quite simple. As a syntax, that's what I mentioned before. We could see, and if I want to do some average calculation of some category, you could see it creates, Power BI helps me to create this, calculate it correctly. But if I want to write it by myself, and if I'm a very beginner to Power BI, to analytics, I think that will be quite obvious question. What is this X? Why do I need to put this calculate and so on? But if you have a bit of experience of Power BI, you know how to read it, and then you can write it by yourself. But of course, it's a very helpful, this feature of quick measures. And doing the similar comparison in Tableau, I did more or less similar, as you could see here, and but comparison of vault data. And first of all, what I did, I opened Tableau desktop. I connected the data that I have, and the first issue that I had here, and I was like, oh, I want to do this simple data modifications. What can I do? And I was not able to do this here. I couldn't remove like first rows, something, promote the headers, basically everything what I was able to do in Power Query. In Tableau, in order to do that, I had to do it all. Of course, if it's an Excel file, CSV, I can do it directly in Excel. But I want to do it in Tableau. And in order to do that, I needed to install another tool, which is called Tableau Prep. And then I could do this, all the data modification, which of course, yeah, that's an approach. But I think personally, there is no chance that the data you receive is going to be perfect. So you will always need to do some data modification, transformation, clean your data. And those tools, they somehow should be all in one package. But in this case, I needed to install it separately, do this modification, then outputs, and then extract this data and save it separately and use it within Tableau. But nevertheless, this is how it's done here. And here we could see it's directly also the data modeling. it's also provided here. We could establish a relationship between tables, one-to-one, cardinality, one-to-many, and so on. If you have multiple tables, you can establish relationship between them. Another finding, what I found could be quite significant, that you cannot have multiple fact tables. If you have your normal data model in Tableau, you cannot have here multiple fact tables, and that could be quite big disadvantage, because basically there are so many use cases when you have multiple fact tables. You need to use them all in the data modeling and in your reporting. But Tableau offers, okay, you can walk around, you can merge those tables on the data source somehow, but you cannot have on the one data model, you cannot have multiple fact tables. That I found quite interesting, because in Power BI it's easily applied. But yes, nevertheless, if when your data is ready and how you are doing it here in Tableau, you have different sheets where you can prepare your visuals one by one. Like as an example, if we prepare the same visualization like it was in Power BI or Google, we could see that with a few clicks, the same approach, drag and drop, and you have your bar charts. You can prepare different, like donut charts, some trend lines, all maps, and you get your data. You can adjust color, size, label, and so on. What I find personally, but it's again user perspective, that for each separated visual, you have to prepare each separated sheet, and then you collect this data on your dashboard, which is this is the approach how it's done in Tableau. But I always ask, okay, if you have like 50 visuals, or you have like many pages, how are you supposed to navigate in all of them? Because in Power BI you work on one sheet, and then you can switch between them. You can have them multiple, have the bookmarks, somehow navigate between them. In Tableau, you have this, it's all in one here below, and then for each separated visual, for each separate measure calculation, you need to have extra worksheet, and this I find not that practical if you have multiple visuals, multiple of data. But yeah, that's how it's done here. We can rename this one as interest over time. And for the next one, let's do the same trend line, like it was in the example. Basically, get this one, and then we are doing it per month. See, more or less look similar, and we need to synchronize them a bit. Yeah, basically we could see also like those trend lines could be created very fast and simple. And let's call this one trend. And okay, it's already there. So it's trend 3. The next one is the map data. How we create it. It's also basically you have your map, and then you have your Power BI and Tableau data. Let's have it consistent, and we switch Tableau, whatever is related to Tableau is red. And yeah, we can also add some labels that we have some numbers. Basically, yeah, we could see this map that Tableau is the most popular in the world, in the North America. And if we compare the worldwide data, Tableau is a bit winning. That's what we could see here in interest over time, and that's mostly due to this fact that there are a lot of requests on Tableau in the North America, especially in Canada, in the US, and it's a very strong market. We can see also interesting that in France, the people are mostly interested in Tableau, like 97%. And of course, it gives these results. But we could see this map and like all this geography could be also shown quite fast. And let's rename this one. And the last but not least, we have this regional horizontal bar chart, which is also, I think it's could be created with a few clicks. If you want to have this one and combine them, this bars here, and then want just to remove the 0 values. We could see it's more or less similar overview how it looks on the Google. And then when it's ready, this geography. Oh. And then when your visualizations are ready, what you are doing, basically, you can drag and drop it on your dashboard. Basically, you just drag and drop, and this you can work on your canvas and adjust it. Currently, I think I need to adjust it with automatic, then we have a bit more space. The trend line, then there is a map, and then there is this original overview. As we could see, also was not that complicated to create something similar, also within Tableau, and we could need those legends. And last but not least, if we need like some calculations, how it's done here in within Tableau, you click analysis, create calculation, and then we can create like an average of Power BI, for example. And that's how we are doing it, like average, and then we type here Power BI, apply, and then we have this calculation already done. That's what I meant by natural language. So we just type, okay, give me average, and then it gives you some results, which you can include here as well, those calculations, and remove that. That's basically, that was my observation, the use case for Tableau. As you could see, it was also like less than a few minutes. We could get the same, more or less the same overview how it's done in Google. So both of those tools are doing their job pretty well. And of course, there could be some personal preferences. There could be some layout options, some limitations with the visualization. But as you can see, for the use case, for the basic use case, both of those tools are doing pretty well. And they offer different visualization options. Of course, could be different colors, different layouts. You can work with that. But this was an opportunity to see how those tools are working directly. And if we come back to the presentation, as we can see the trends, I did a comparison that my personal observation, what are the limitations of Power BI? And I think that's a very important one. It's like that you cannot use it on Mac OS. That, of course, there are so many users who are using this Mac OS operation system. And if you want to use Power BI, you won't be able to do it because it's a Microsoft product. And that could be, of course, covering all this price, layout, all these possibilities with performance. If you cannot use it, then you have to use another tool. And that could be Tableau, for example. DAX could be a bit tricky if you need to do some calculations, and if you especially need to do some advanced calculations. Of course, you need to use the special tools for that, and I'll get the help from the community. However, if you're a very beginner user, it could be a bit tricky, but that's, I think if you're a very beginner, you won't need to do like some massive calculations. And if you are quite experienced, you could be fine and you find your way how to do the calculations. You already know the structure, but yeah, it needs some practice indeed. For the performance, that could be also an issue, but each case is individual. Depends on your mode. How do you connect the data? Is it imported? Is it direct query mode? There are many options to optimize your data. But like as a general rule, if you have a lot of data, if it's connected in direct query mode, if it's there are different data sources, Power BI, you might need to wait a bit longer, and it's needs some performance optimization. And could be also the very important fact that the data handling capacity for free versions in Power BI, there are limitations. Depends on which subscription you have. You have certain amount of data, and if you have free version, it's like very limited what you can publish in your environment. And in Tableau, from the other hand, me personally, I found the usability is not that user-friendly, especially with all this concept of different sheets, and then that you need to create for each separated visual, you need to create separated canvas. And of course, all this, somehow you need to switch between them. I found it not that friendly. And then also what I issued once, working with the client, there was an auto resolution issue. If we come back maybe for a second to Tableau, and basically when you are done with your dashboard, and you choose here automatic size of your resolution of your canvas, and you publish it, right? And you expect that it's gonna work somehow automatically, it will adjust, but it never worked for me because like I have a bit bigger monitor, and I needed to select here, not automatic. I needed to select here fixed size, because when I shared all whatever I was creating on my system, whenever I was shared, it was all moved and like cut. And it doesn't matter how good your data model, how good your calculation skills, visualization, when it's not visible or like some visual is cut in the middle, then all the impression is gone. From the other hand, doing absolutely the same things in Power BI, and automatic resolution was working pretty well. So this, I think that's very basic function, which makes a lot of impact on the client, on your user experience. Somehow it was not working well with me in Tableau. Maybe there are some workarounds, but basically yes. And okay, yes, we go to this slide. This is my observation, and then of course it was a bit annoying for me that I needed to install Tableau Prep additionally for doing some data transformation. In my opinion, it should be all in one, and of course they split them. Like there is one tool for data visualization, there is one for data modification, Power BI service, you publish it somewhere, but those transformation and visualization, they come always together. And that will be nice, at least have it installed in one package, and then I don't need to do this separated installation. Found me personally it a bit more inflexible comparison to Power BI. And as a summary, Tableau can handle large amount of data relatively easy, offer more visualization capabilities, has customizable dashboard, and a bit more complicated to use, and also requires R programming language, and is a bit slightly more expensive than Power BI. On the other hand, Power BI offers pre-built dashboard, real-time dashboard updates. There are a lot of features updating every month, and things are changing. And there is a big community where you can get all the help, support, and there are possibilities for machine learning, and so on. And as a general output, of course, there could be fans of Tableau, could be fans of Power BI, and it depends on your user needs. Of course, there is no direct answer that this is better or this is better. So for those For some particular cases, Power BI could be a bit more useful. For other cases, Tableau, and each individual case needs to be adjusted. So it's nice to have an overview and have a general idea and the best practice, but of course, it's a matter of personal prioritization. And the last but not least, just to see the comparison, what I also did, I just check in the chat GPT what is the which results it gives me. So I compare Power BI and Tableau pros and cons, and we can go through them and like see what it says. And basically here as a pros of Power BI, we can see that integration with Microsoft ecosystem. Basically, if you have something like already on Azure and you want to connect it, Power BI might work a bit better and faster with that. It has user-friendly interface, not only according to me, but also according to this OpenAI. It says that it's a bit more user-friendly. There are advanced data modeling capabilities. Again, yeah, if you have multiple fact tables, if you need to connect it all, I think it's much more, there are more possibilities in Power BI for that. And yeah, they say there's a pros of DAX, but yeah, for someone, maybe that's the pros. Maybe for someone it could be challenge. And cost-effective Power BI is cheaper than, has a bit more, it's a bit more affordable than other tools like Tableau. And the problem here to say it's complex visualization. You need for complex visualization, you need advanced knowledge. There is a lot of also custom visualization, and yeah, you might need to spend a bit more time. Limited native data connectors that we also mentioned. Yeah, you need to look for the your data. You need to check what the data source are, and of course, if it's already included in Tableau and it's not in Power BI, then it's better. I would suggest to use Tableau than use some third-party connectors. And less flexibility in design. There are some templates. Well, I think there's a comparing to Tableau. I would say that there are a lot of templates you can use in Power BI as well. So it's quite flexible in design, in my opinion. From the other hand, in Tableau, there is a lot of connectors that they say, yeah, that's important one. Highly interactive, customizable visualizations. I think, yeah, that's Power BI offers also quite a lot of visualization options. Maybe if you want to do something more advanced, Tableau could be more preferable. Community and resources, yeah, both of those communities are quite strong. Maybe Tableau has a bit large and active community because it's a bit older, but I would say my personal experience that Power BI community is quite helpful, and you can find a lot of information in there. As cons, we could see, yeah, you need as a beginner, they say they need a bit of more practice. It could be a bit more challenging for the beginner. It's more expensive and less integration with Microsoft system. I think this is obvious. But all in all, yeah, if you have budget and if you want to practice with Tableau as well, it's also worth to check it and have a look at that. Yes, basically, yeah, coming back to the presentation, that's it from my side. If you have any comments, if you want to discuss, I'm happy to learn about both of those tools, and I will appreciate your feedback afterwards. Thank you very much for your attention.